Hello and welcome to my first Adobe After Effects tutorial. And as you can see right here, I've started a new After Effects file. One of the weird things with After Effects, I'm going to start a new project here. And it doesn't give me a choice to choose a file name. It says Untitled Project here, which, I'm not thrilled with. So go to File and go to Save As, and I'm going to give this a name. And we're going to call it Hit and Run. Hit and run, because this is going to be a hit and run tutorial. Now, I like creating the composition first before I import the files, just a personal preference. So I'm going to create a composition here, hit and run, and then you get to choose some of the settings here. So I'm just going to zing this over here. Because it's going to be like Filmic, I'm going to have it at 24 frames per second. You could have it at 29.97, which is more video, but in this case I'm going to be more film-like. It is HD, 1920 by 1080, and I'm going to make this 8 seconds. So this is 8 seconds there, and that's the seconds, that's the frames, if you're wondering. Okay, and just click OK. And now we're going to import some clips. Okay, so I'll go to import some files, and I'm going to choose the car passing by and the person. And I just held the command key down to select two different files. And there we go, we have the two there. Now, to include the video files into the composition that you're creating, all we do is just drag it in. So in this case, I'm going to drag in the car there. And you'll see now it appears in the composition sequence down here. And I'll grab this and put it there. Okay, now I've got two. Now to look at these two files, let's just take a quick peek at them. Just like Photoshop, the one's on top of the other, so we're going to look at the person one first. And so this is my son Alexander, who on Victoria Day weekend was kind enough to do what he needs to do. Walks out in the middle of the road, picks up his keys. Okay, I'll just turn this one off there, and we'll show the second clip, which is again my son's. So this is my son Alexander driving, and my other son running in. Oops, there we go. And that's my son Alexander driving his car. Anyway, so the goal obviously is to make it look like the car hit my son. So in order to do this, you got to get it just in the right place. So the best thing to do is actually, I'm just going to open this up here. And you want to change the opacity of the top layer so you can see through to the bottom to 50%. So you can just click there and just type in 50. The shortcut key is Command-Shift-O, and it'll bring up opacity as well. And I can just type 50 there. And go like that, and it changes it to 50. Now if I play this sequence, if you take a look.
Okay, go. Okay, go. Just go in.
So they look like little ghost people. So you can see they're translucent. But this will allow me to place the car where I want it to be. So I'm just going to close this up so it gives me more space there. And what I want to do is I actually want to choose where do I want my son to be standing when he gets hit. So you kind of want it to be, if you want it more realistic, he's looking down, he doesn't see a car coming, and then as he looks up, he sees it. So like somewhere around there would be good, but we want to see if the car will line up. So I've got it here. Now what I do is I go to the car layer, and then I just move it sort of back in time. Like moving it this way will move it back in time, as you can see. And what I want to do is, it's not quite there. See how it's overlapping? Don't really want it to overlap. So what I'm going to have to do is, I'm going to have to move my son a bit. So see how he's sort of back there now? Now if I move the car in. There. That's better. See how it's just sort of touching? That's actually a better look when you actually compose it together. Okay, so that's what we're going to work with. Now, so that's going to be the point of impact. So the point of impact, what you're going to do now is you're going to split the clips. Okay, so you're going to split both clips. Right now I'm on the car passing by, so I'll split that one. Okay, and so I split that layer. And so now we've got the beginning half of the clip here, and the ending half of the clip there on separate layers. Now we're going to do the same thing with the person clip, and we're going to split that layer. Okay. And you have to think about what we're going to do with these, okay? So right now what we're going to do is, After Effects, unlike Photoshop, when you typically mask in Photoshop, you typically mask to make something transparent. The default in After Effects is you mask to make things appear, okay? So in this particular case, what I'm going to do is first I have to turn off the opacity on this, and if you remember the keystroke shortcut, Command Shift O, bring it back up to 100. Okay, and so if I go back, you'll see that I just see my sun there. Okay, so if you look ahead, okay, and you want to see where my sun goes here. So when he comes back, so you see the height of him is right about here. So what I want to do is I want to mask around the area so that he appears in the scene. Not take him out, but appears in the scene. So the way you do it is you start at the contact point. Now I just want to show you an error that can occur. So right now I'm at the contact point. Okay, if I start to try and do a mask here, watch what happens. And to do a mask, you need to use the pen tool, which is up here. Okay, and if I start drawing a shape around here, okay, you notice this red thing appeared, but what happened was I end up with a shape layer. That's because I'm not actually on the clip. I'm right at the point of going into the next clip. So what I have to do is I'll undo that, and you have to undo twice to get rid of that shape. And what I have to do is move back one frame. So in order to move back one frame, I hold down the Command key and hit the left arrow. Now I'm on the clip. Now I can start to draw around him. And this one, I don't really need to have it very accurate in terms of what I need to do. Oh, I'm not back far enough. So I still have that shape layer. Go back one more. Oh, maybe it's because I wasn't on the clip. There we go. Am I on the clip? Let's see. There we go. Okay. I wasn't quite on the layer. That's why that happened. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go like this. I'm going to go around him like that. And I can be kind of rough out on this area here. And just come down. And that finishes it off. And you see how that automatically appeared? Because it's basically saying, keep that clip. Okay? Keep that clip, and then everything else becomes transparent. So that's why the other clip showed through. So the big thing here is you have to keyframe at this point to make sure that everything stays in. And just to make sure that everything stays where it's supposed to, I always keyframe everything, even though I don't have to. I keyframe everything just in case. And same thing on my mask. I mask the path and everything like this. Okay. And what I do is I start to move back. So from here, what I do is I'm just going to hold down the Command key and move back and make sure he is stepping a little bit outside there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this a little bit out. Oops. Come on. That a little bit out. And that, just to make sure that he stays within. Going back again. Is he still in? Yeah, he's still in. Okay, hold on. Maybe at that point I better move this one. There. Okay. Just checking this. I think I'm running out of space, so I'm getting a lot of these delays here. And his head comes up, and yeah, he should be good walking back. There we go. Okay, so now what I've done is I've masked that. So if we look at the first half of this, we look at the first half, and I go, and you notice, see where it's, let me close this up. So you can see where I've got a black scene here. That's because the actual other clip starts here. So what I like to do is I like to do a mark in, which is essentially I'm just going to move this work area down to here. So that way it'll start and stop at the point that both clips are in. Okay, so if I hit space there, and we can
Let's go
see,
in.
oh, it needs
Let's
to.
go in.
Okay, so you get the idea. So now both clips are in because I've added that clip in because of that mask. Now what I have to do is I have to do the same thing at this point where the contact occurs, okay? Now we're going to have to move some layers around, but what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to mask in this point, but freeze frame it, okay? So let's do that. First thing I'm going to do is, so I've got the car here. And where do I want the car? I want the car underneath or over top? Underneath. Okay. So I'm going to move this part of the car. So if you see this is the second half of the car. Okay. I'm just going to move it up one to there. Okay. I'm going to leave this transparent right now just because what I need to do is I need to be able to see where the car is striking. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is on this layer, the person layer, I am going to mask him much more carefully. So in order to do that, I'm going to zoom in to about 100%, or maybe a little bit more than 100. Oh, maybe not. Let's see what 200 looks like. I'll move it over and take a look. Oh yeah, 200 is good. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mask around him. Now let's see if this is far enough into the clip. I'll click and see if a shape shows up. Nope, it's good. Okay, so in this one, a little bit tighter around there. And for those of you who are experts at this and you want to do like the little Bezier curves and stuff like that, you can do that. Right now, I am just clicking. Okay. If you ever get a different color click because you've clicked too close to another point, then you should just back up. So I'll show you what I mean. If I go here, if I go like this, and I try to click, hold on, wait till I get close again. If I go in here, see that actually completed it. It actually is now a selection. So I'd have to undo, and you have to click a little bit further away. Hold on, back up, and back up, and go back to the pen tool here. There we go. And just make sure the pen tool is always showing. And that way you'll have this. Okay, going around. And there's completion. You can see the little circle there. And now it's completed. So that's my selection of the person. Now at this point, what I'd like to do is do the right click, okay, and go to time and freeze frame, because you want to freeze that image. Okay, so now that I've freeze framed, that's the actual frame that's going to be there for the rest of the clip. Okay, and you see that's already keyframed. Okay, now the next step is you're gonna want to bend this as it moves. In order to bend it as it moves, you need to put in what are called puppet points. So if I click the puppet points there, you can put as many puppet points in as you like. And what they allow you to do, it's good to put them actually on joints in places where a person naturally bends, but just enough so that you can maneuver the object well. So put one there, and I think that ought to do it. Okay, and so now what you do is you're just going to start moving the object with the car. So what I'm going to do first is go back down to here, and I'm going to move over one frame. So I move over one frame. Now what I have to do is I have to move the person. So I'll go to here, and I will move the person here. And so you can imagine if someone did get hit like that, they would bend over the car to some degree. Now that was one frame. So what I can do is I can grab the puppet points if I click on the puppet point tool, and literally can start bending the person, which is the coolest thing that you can do. Oops. Hold on. Where did that go? Hold on. Undo that. Lost track of it because of the... Here, let's move the bottom half of the person first. And it's a little bit slow because my computer is acting a little slow because I think I'm running out of hard drive space or SSD space. Oh, see? Just sort of there. And then move this down here. Okay. And then I'll move this out a bit. And this out a touch. And this out a touch. And actually I'll move this in a touch. Ooh, what just happened there? Oh. There. Move that in a touch. And move this one in a touch. There. Okay. And now move over a frame. One more over a frame. Just click here. Over one frame. Up here. And I know there's keystrokes to go between those tools, but I haven't got them memorized yet. Okay, so I'm going to move him over. Go to the puppet points again. And again. Make it so he is literally touching the hood of the car. Okay, and I know it looks really distorted and weird, but since this happens like in a fraction of a second, it actually works out really well. Oop. Okay, I think that ought to do it. Oops, what did I just do there? Just doesn't seem to be letting go of those points. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom back out and show you what happens for the next one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it through. Actually, I'm going to go a little bit smaller than that. Let's see, let's go to 50%. Okay, because what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to move it over, go into here again, and do Command right arrow key. And so now, oh my gosh, I forgot to turn on the keyframes. Let me see, on this one. I'm on here. And I forgot to turn on the keyframes. Oh no. Let me see, hold on, close this back up. Reopen it, and my transform. Yes, no keyframes. Or were they? Let me see. Oh no, I guess the keyframes were on. Okay, so I'm right here. Normally what I do is, just so you know, is I would turn on all these keyframes just to make sure I'm getting the keyframes in. And even these ones. Okay, I'm going to see if it still maintains it. Definitely maintain the puppet points, but I didn't realize it would maintain those. Well, let's see what happens. Anyway, so I am going to go back to here and click here, and let's see what happens. I am going to go over just until there, and now what I want to do is move this. Oop, not that. Can't grab a point. Oop, it's grabbing a point. I'm going to have to zoom in a touch. So let's zoom into fit and move it over to here. Okay, and you actually should move it even further. So what I'm going to do is move this whole thing over so I can see, and I'm going to click here again, and then right arrow key, put that far, and you're just sort of going to guesstimate with this. Going to move this over even more to where the thing is, just till it's out of frame, just for the speed with which the car goes through. Okay, now hopefully this will render quickly enough. Let's find out. Okay, and close this up. Okay, let's take a peek. So let's turn the opacity on this back. So Command Shift O, go back to 100. Okay, and let's go back to the beginning and let's take a look. Go to fit Actually, let's see if I go to 100 and then go back to fit. Will it center it? Oh, it does. Awesome. Okay, it may take a second to render. Let's take a peek.
Just go in. Go in.
Oh, looks like it's still not quite at 100. Let's take a opacity. That's at 100. Maybe this one is required to be 100 too. Opacity, no, it's at 100 too. What is up? Oh no, because I keyframed at the opacity at those keyframes. Okay, small error. Gonna have to fix that. Okay, so since I had it at 50% opacity when I was keyframing, there we go. See, it's 75, so I gotta change that to 100, and then frame over, and then make that 100, and then frame over. That one's okay, and then these are okay. Everything's at 100. There might be, nope, I think I'm good now. Okay, so let's take a peek now. Small error on the video, so let's see. Hit the space bar. Yes, let's take a look again. Now that it's rendered through, boom.
Just go in.
So the ideal thing to do now would be to add in some Foley effects, the sound of the striking sound, maybe a oof sound as he gets hit. Anything like that would work. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and that my error didn't cause you any difficulty. Enjoy.